It is such an honor to have you join us to have this conversation, Your Excellency. And I am speaking with His Excellency, the former governor of Bauchi State from 2015 to 2019, His Excellency Mohammed Abdullahi Abubakar SAN. And I'm definitely sure that there are a whole lot of things that we're going to unpack in this conversation.
We'll do our best.
It's such an honor.
Thank you.
All right, Your Excellency, we're going to first of all start with, how is life away from government?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, life has been fantastic. It has been busy. In fact, it has been hectic because for me, life outside government started just about 2 weeks after handing over. 2 weeks after handing over, I appeared before the Court of Appeal in Jos. And along the way, I was able to obtain 3 judgments of the Court of Appeal in Jos. And from there, it was non-stop because I had this intention of obtaining the rank of SAN even before I became governor. So I started obtaining the judgments in 2011 before I became governor, and then I had quite a bit of judgments. But by the time I was governor and I came out, some of these judgments had expired because they had a 10-year time limit. So, for example, for what we call the trial court judgments, these are judgments of the high courts. I had to begin all over again. I had to obtain 20 of them. And for me to be able to do that, I had to be traversing the country, so to speak, going from one place to the other, because there's no way within the time frame I could obtain the 20 judgments. So I took cases in Kogi State, I took cases in Jigawa State, and I was traversing. And by the grace of the Almighty, I was able to get the 20 trial court judgments. I was able to get the 4 Supreme Court judgments. I had several Court of Appeal judgments. Like I said, I obtained 3 even after I became governor, after I left governor. So life has been very, very busy but productive. And that is because I never really left the legal profession. Even when I was governor, most activities of the legal profession I was attending. The only thing I was not doing was practicing, going to court, which I could not do, as governor of a state. So that's how it has been. Actually, I just came back to Abuja on Sunday evening. I was at a retreat in Lagos for the constitutional review program of the National Assembly. I'm consulting for the House of Representatives Committee on Constitutional Review. So far, so good.
Now that you've mentioned constitutional review, there are a lot of things to unpack in that aspect, but do you really stand on the side that we should go ahead with a constitutional review? Because there are some persons that believe that when it's looking at antecedent, when it's almost time for a major elections, we always have the conversation of constitutional review. It's almost a recurring practice. And so now we're looking forward to 2027. And now another conversation of constitutional review is popping up. What does that, you are consulting for the House of Representatives. Where do you stand in that?
Well, the answer to this is there must be a constitution, first and foremost.
Yes.
So, and if we agree that there must be a constitution, then we'll now go to the question as to whether there is any constitution in this world that is perfect. And the answer to that is an outright no. And if that is the case, then we'll have to continue to tinker with our constitution. As we practice it, we discover a lot of gaps in it. And then it is incumbent on us to now fill in these gaps and correct the various lacunae that we are confronted with in practicing the Constitution. So for that reason, we must always review our Constitution as we grow as a nation.
Okay. All right. Let's now come back to your time as the governor of Bauchi State between 2015 to 2019. We're just going to look at from where you stand. I mean, looking from outside, this is a state that you were once the governor. Do you think that the state is deteriorating, or do you think that there've been some sort of improvement? And when I talk about improvement, I'm talking about in the aspect of education. I'm talking about in the aspect of security. I'm talking about the economy of the state. I'm talking about a whole lot of things because I have some numbers. And when it comes to education, it doesn't look so good. It's almost like the literacy level is going down. So let's compare it between your time. I mean, I do know that when you were governor of the state, you had the literacy level was not so fantastic before you stepped in, but it says that you did your best, especially for those who were going for WAEC. Now, according to the numbers, WAEC and NECO, there was a huge success rate as the state definitely rose, from less than 5% to 34.8%, right? Looking at that and what we have now, do you think that it is getting better or getting worse? Or was there some sort of maintenance of the structure you put in place?
Well, let me first and foremost confess that I do not have any numbers to compare with. All right? Because like I said, I've been very busy with my life. I have not been watching over what the government of the day is doing. But all I know, like you said, is that when I took over in 2015, the WAEC and NECO, they are the basic examinations. They are the foundation. Without them, you cannot go any further. If you don't pass one or the other of them, there's no way you can go any further. I met the success rate at dismal 3.5%. And I thank God that I took it to 37.8% before I left. Where it is now, I honestly do not know. Therefore, I cannot comment on it. I know for a fact that there have been a lot of developments in terms of infrastructure in my state, road infrastructure, quite a lot of that, and quite a lot of buildings, particularly buildings that have to do with the traditional institutions and the like. But as far as education is concerned, I have not interrogated that sector. Therefore, it's not fair for me to make any comment on it.
Okay, now, why haven't you done that? Is it that you just don't, bother with what is going on in terms of education, or you're not so keen to know if this state that you once put in your best is improving?
Well, like I said, without the numbers, there's nothing much I can say about it. If you go by what the government of the day is saying, they are every day claiming that they are succeeding in the various facets, in education, in healthcare delivery, in infrastructure. But it will remain so until I have a reason to interrogate this in depth. I may have soon have this reason to do that, but for now, let me keep it as it is. I don't have the numbers based on which I'll comment on that issue.
Okay. Well, we're still going to be there for some time. And some persons have said that you are the only governor to have met the UNESCO standard, by allocating more than 20% of the derivation fund for education. Well, this is the part, we're still back to education. So, I mean, this is a good fit, for your administration at the time. So if you're considering this, looking at the competing demands of other sectors, why did you actually prioritize education, during your time?
My reason was simple. I am a product of the public school system. I went to a school funded by the local government in Jos, completed in Kano in a school funded by the local government. I went to a public secondary school, the government college Kano. I went to the Ahmadu Bello University. So I thought it was incumbent on me to try as much as possible to rescue the public education system so that the sons of and daughters of nobodies can now be able to have access to education. I closed my eyes from other things, other attractive things that one could do so that one could be praised. Education, you know, is one sector where it's seriously cash intensive, but apart from probably the learning environment, you may not have too much to show in terms of achievement. Like the training and retraining of the teachers that I did, you cannot see them, all right, unless maybe you go to the classrooms or unless if you interrogate the results of the examinations. But I decided I must do that as basic, all right? But it wasn't the only area where I succeeded. In health, throughout my 4 years, I beat the Abuja Declaration of 15%. Allocating 15%, I was allocating more than 15% to health when I was there. So that is it.
Well, we're going to touch a number of sectors. You've mentioned health. We also have agriculture.
Yeah.
We're done with education. We're still going to look at, the security aspect as well.
Yeah.
There have been a number of concerns when it comes to the security aspect.
Yeah.
So I think that you've mentioned health. Let's now move from there and then get to security, because this is one part that is very, very important, especially as it stands right now. What did you do differently during your time? Because some persons seem to have a different opinion when it comes to how you handled the insecurity in the state. Do you think that there is a better way you would have handled it?
Well, to begin with, throughout my 4 years, there was no single incident of security in Bauchi State. And I did a lot, because for security, it's one area that you cannot always come to the public and beat your chest and mention that you have done this, you have done that, because the secrecy of the operation is key. And I was listening to my security chiefs. We carried out a lot of exercises without bragging about them. We arrested a lot of kingpins of the Boko Haram quietly.
Why was it done quietly?
Because we needed to do that. If you don't do it, if you brag about it, they had this system of, if you brag about it, they will now come to show you that, look, it's because they don't want to. If they want to, they can make trouble for you. I didn't believe in that, but we were carrying out, I believe that the system was going to be better for it. We were not equipped to do anything about them when we arrest them. All we were doing, we'll arrest and then we'll inform Abuja. And then Abuja will come and cut them away, take them away from our hands and deal with them.
Did you ever get to find out what, how these guys were being treated, or what was the action taken on them after they were carried away from you?
Quite a lot of them are still incarcerated somewhere, They
are not part of the repentant terrorists that we have,
they may
or the
not
ones
be.
being sent to
Some of
further
them
education?
may be. Some of them may be, but I don't know. But that is not within my purview. Security actually is national. Constitutionally, it is the federal government that controls the police, the army, the navy, the air force, the civil defense. It is the federal government. They are federal government outfits. So the most important thing was to keep my state safe. And I did that. And to show that we were succeeding in that, we were reviving the Yankari Game Reserve. People were going there. Even from the American embassy, people would go there and spend a week in the Yankari Game Reserve because they were certain that they were well protected. There was no single incident of Boko Haram or whatever attack in Bauchi State during my term from 2015 to 2019.
So why do you think it's happening now?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. And like I said, I haven't been interrogating the affairs of Bauchi State as much as I should, probably because I have chosen to build a career outside government, so, and I'm concentrated in doing that.
Okay, Your Excellency, it has been said that at the time frame, which is between 2015 to 2019, there were some pockets of incidents, especially at the one that happened in Tafa Balewa town. That was in 2015. That happened. And then we started seeing decline of incidents in 2019. So if you look at it, 2015 to 2019, this also falls within your time.
It wasn't my time in 2015. It wasn't my time. There was no incident. I took over in May 2015. The incident in Tafa Balewa happened before my time. So during my time, there was no single incident.
Okay, I'm still going to come back there.
Yeah.
But for now, let's touch on other areas. I mean, it's always good. One cannot deny the fact that while you were governor of the state, you really impacted, in a number of areas. But as well, one thing that we've noticed is the fact that there were some things that you never got to address after leaving office. Is there any particular reason why
after leaving?
Yes, there were some things that shared in the media that you never ever got to address. Was there any reason why you didn't get to address some of this?
Can you name them?
There were some allegations.
Yes. Like?
Financial allegations.
Well, you know where these financial allegations go. If they are true, I will not be sitting here. I am one governor that has never visited the EFCC because they have called me to interrogate me over my tenure as governor. So, I mean, they are mere allegations and they happen. They happen when there's a change of government, you see these allegations. But I've never been invited by the EFCC over any allegation.
That would be funny, Your Excellency, because some say that, some of the allegations on your person was that sale of government properties, assets, and the Bauchi State Funds and Asset Recovery Committee did look into it and said you sold some luxury cars, some approximately 20 million naira to yourself after leaving office. They also said that some of the vehicles worth 150 million.
Eh?
Yes.
I sold to myself.
Yes.
Yes. I sold.
To yourself?
I did not take them.
Oh, you sold them to yourself?
Yes, I did not take them. They were my vehicles. I was using them. And there's a policy in government. All right? Motor vehicles have a 4-year period.
Okay.
Thereafter, they don't have any book value as far as government is concerned. And they are boarded and they are sold. The ones I was using, I showed interest in them and I paid for them. And I have receipts of government for them.
So why was it written against you that you sold?
Yeah, but what happened?
Asset?
What happened? If you go to my house today, some of these vehicles are there. They are there. Because after the allegations, when proper investigation was made, they discovered that no law was broken. These vehicles were boarded and they were paid for.
So you bought them for less than the amount that
no,
the cars
it's not a question of less than.
From 150 to 7.8.
I told you that vehicles in government and in companies too, all right, they are depreciated on the basis of percentage.
Okay.
The percentage in government is 25%. So, how many 25% are there to make 100? 4. In 4 years, all the vehicles had no book value. They are usually boarded. All right? When they are boarded, they are sold. And they were sold to me, and there is evidence that I have paid.
So
Even if they were not sold to me, they would be sold to someone else.
okay.
Yes.
So how come you never got to you at any point come out to clear some of these allegations
We
that were
went to
being
court.
made? Yes, you did go to court. We also have
We went to
contract controversy. You were being accused, of awarding contracts that left huge financial gap.
No. Let me tell you what. There is no government, including the Lagos state government, the richest government, that left money in the coffers of government more than my humble self.
How much did you leave in the
I left a lot of money. I left 11.8 billion, which was a refund of federal government roads that I have constructed. I left 4.5 billion, which is refund of pay as you earn due to the state. I left 5.7 billion, which was UBEC money for which I had paid counterpart. I left $60 million of World Bank loan for which I had paid counterpart. So take a toll of that. All right? And if I had known you will ask this question, I would have fished out for you a letter from the ICPC. They investigated 8 different allegations on contracts.
Yeah.
And none of them was proved, and they wrote to me telling me that they have investigated this and they have not found anything wanting. I wrote to President Buhari about the 11.8 billion because the EFCC froze that account. And I wrote to Buhari and I said, please, sir, ask the EFCC to investigate these contracts. If they find any contract wanting, I will be responsible for it. I sent a copy of that letter to Mr. Magu in his office. I took it to him personally and I gave him. I've never spoken about this.
Yes, why did you?
There is no governor, because there's no need. I did my bit. The rest is for them to do their bit.
You didn't care about the narrative?
Narrative, I trust in the will of the Almighty. All right? I knew I did not do anything wrong. If they will investigate properly, they have done that. You have never had them calling me or bringing me before the court of law. So, they are mere allegations.
Okay. You've mentioned how much you left.
Yes.
When you were leaving office.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how much did you meet when you were leaving office?
Nothing.
When you came into office?
Nothing. And I left, I inherited 4 months unpaid salaries. You can ask anybody. I inherited 4 months unpaid salaries. I started my government with a loan, with a 4 billion loan from the UBA. All right? Because I needed to pay poor people their salaries. I took over in May. The Ramadan was starting in June. People have not been paid for 4 months in a state that is majorly a civil service state. Everybody depended on the civil service. So I had to take a loan. And even that loan was a subject of allegation. Yes, it was a subject of allegation because they thought I took the loan without the resolution of the House of Assembly. Until when they wrote their petitions and I was asked, and then I brought everything to the investigative authorities. So it is normal for allegations to be made, but the proof is the most important thing.
There's one more that we need to take out of the table, which is, you did mention something about the 21.6 billion.
No. 11.8.
So we do have a number here which says that 21.6 billion was spent on security, and that's between spent on security in your state.
I'm hearing it for the first time.
So you haven't had that?
No,
before?
I haven't had that. Hearing it for the first time.
So how much did you spend on security?
How would I know?
I mean,
How
of
would
course
I know?
You should know.
No. There is no way I will know. You know, do you know spending on security is something that happens when the need arises.
So you never had any say, okay, we're going to do this as the governor between this period. This was what was
No, budgets were made for security.
And what was
budgets were made? I cannot remember the figures now. For 4 years, different budgets were made for security. And there's no way I can now be able to, if I have the budget in front of me, I can quote the figure. But definitely we spent on security, and that was why we succeeded in security. Like I said earlier on, if we did not spend, we will not succeed. All right?
Which leaves me really concerned before we move on to other sectors, which leaves me really, really concerned because you're very, very sure that you did your best when it comes to insecurity in the state.
I did.
But there is a faction that believes that the situation worsened. Security in the state worsened. And some persons were not able to even live in their houses.
That is not true.
Because of fear of kidnappers
and the like.
That is
absolutely not true. Not in Bauchi State. Even now, that is not happening. Even now. So anybody who tells you this is telling you blatant lies. Yes, Bauchi State is in the northeast, but it is not in the epicenter of the problem of insurgency in the northeast. So for anybody to tell you that people are fearing to live in their houses because of kidnappers, I tell you, this is an outright lie. I'm telling you this. Not during my time, even now. Bauchi is comparatively safe.
This is still Rapid Television, and I'm still speaking with His Excellency Mohammed Abdullahi Abubakar, SAN, past governor of Bauchi State from 2015 to 2019. Your Excellency, let's now look at the area of agriculture. You introduced several interventions during your time as governor, and of course, we talked about mechanized farming, tractor support, and the likes. Were these initiatives part of a broader sustainable agricultural plan? And how did you envisage this long-term idea?
Well, to begin with, Bauchi State is an agrarian state. 80% of the people of Bauchi State practice one form of agriculture or the other. So for any governor to succeed in terms of changing the lives of the generality of the people, one must look into agriculture. And to look into agriculture, one must address the issue of the practice of agriculture. Because the 80% I am talking about, probably 79% of them practice agriculture the same way they inherited it from their forefathers. They take the hoe and they go manually, and till the land and plant on the land and weed the land, Yes, it gives them sustenance, but it will not be a business, something that you can be able to use to sustain your family and grow your family year in, year out. So there was a need for us to change the way people were doing agriculture. One of the things I did was I traveled to Morocco. Morocco, there's a company that supplies more than 50% of the phosphate that is used everywhere in the world in Morocco. I had a meeting with them. They took me around their facilities, and then they promised me that they will assist me in changing the way we do agriculture. How did they do this? They were doing it not for just Bauchi State, but for Kano, Kaduna, and Bauchi. The first thing they did was to send us vehicles that have labs inbuilt in them. All right? The way we were to use this vehicle was to drive this vehicle to your farm, if you have a farm, in the village, and then they take the the earth in that farm, take it into the van, and then they will test it, take it through rigorous tests, and then at the end of the day, they will come out with the best type of crop for you to use so that you can get the best yield out of that land. We didn't stop at that. In fact, like I said initially, I started my government with a loan. That loan was, one, to pay off the 4-month salary arrears that I inherited. Two, when I took over in May 2015, usually the rainy season starts in the north in June. So June was just around the corner. There wasn't a single bag of fertilizer in Bauchi State. So I had to find a way of procuring fertilizer. And I told you Bauchi is agrarian. So I immediately procured 10 metric tons of fertilizer for the people of Bauchi State. And for the first time, we took the fertilizers to the local governments, from the suppliers directly to the stores of the former BASG, the agricultural supply company that we have in Bauchi State. We took the fertilizers there to make it easy for the agrarian farmer to access. He wouldn't have to come to the big stores of Basak in Bauchi to buy fertilizer. So we supplied fertilizer, it went round, and it eased the purchase of this fertilizer. Then later on, we began the process of introducing mechanized agriculture. We bought and distributed some tractors and some tillers, some power tillers that you push manually. They are powered, you push them, and those ones we could get, to the basic individual farmer. The tractors, not every farmer will be able to access them. So, but there was an attempt to turn around agriculture. We obtained a 2 billion soft loan from the Central Bank of Nigeria, and we did this anchor borrowers scheme. I must say the anchor borrowers was not successful, for the simple reason that those people who benefited from the anchor borrowers after harvest did not come over to pay. And right from time, I faced the problem of the interest on the loan. The people said they were not going to take the loan if the interest was put on.
And so you had to take
it was against their religion to do that.
So you had to take
So
the
I had
interest.
to pay the interest right from day one. But at the end of the day, even the loan that they took was not repaid. The government had to repay that loan.
All right, Your Excellency. Let's now move on. Let's move on from the state level and just dive straight to the national level. I mean, you have been. Now you are not in government. You just sit back and then you watch what is happening in government. In very few minutes, Your Excellency, how would you describe the state of the nation currently? We're talking about insecurity. We're talking about economy. We're talking about the general well-being of the people. Do you think that we are where we're supposed to be in 2025?
Well, I think that is a question that does not call for an outright yes or no answer, because there are many facets to government. All right. And I know for a fact that as human beings, we are very hasty in judging governments. I have had that experience when I was governor, and I know people are hasty in judging government. 2.5 years or thereabouts is not enough time for one to judge the performance of a government.
But the government made promises.
They did.
And they said you should judge them by it.
They did. But at the time, there are certain things that will come into play in achieving those promises they have made. They have not probably adverted their minds to those things happening, and they did. You know, the effect of the withdrawal of subsidy.
Was that a good idea?
It's something that must be done, ultimately.
But what the people considered when it was...
Yes, people were considered because, I mean, it affects people. If you had continued with the system, by now, the government would have been at a standstill. Even basic amenities that government provides for people, the government will not have been able to provide them.
But how come we're still borrowing?
Well, that answer is borrowing.
I mean, yes, you said, okay, we're no longer paying
Yes.
subsidy.
Yes.
And the government come out to say, okay, this is what we realize from the non-payment of subsidy, so billion, yet the government is still borrowing.
The federal government is probably borrowing. I don't know about the state governments.
No, we're referring to the federal government now.
Because funding of the state governments has improved a great deal, maybe probably 100% from the time I was in government.
Very true.
So the amount that is realized in the withdrawal of subsidy is being pushed to the governments that are closest to the people. All right? For the federal government of Nigeria to borrow, it's natural for any government to borrow. The only thing is that the type of borrowing that a government should not do is the type that you borrow to pay for recurrent expenditure. But if you borrow to build infrastructure, then that is the type of borrowing that is good for government. And this government, in most of the loans are in respect of establishment of infrastructure.
But Your Excellency, maybe you should correct me if I'm wrong. We've had several times where the government say, okay, we're borrowing for, let's say, for example, healthcare. Several governments have borrowed for healthcare. So what did they use this borrowing for? Wasn't it the same healthcare? Because now another government comes and says we're borrowing for healthcare. So how many times do you borrow for healthcare when our healthcare, for example, is still in a state of misery?
I think the fair question to ask here is not that other governments have borrowed for healthcare. That this government is borrowing for healthcare. What is the government doing with the monies it has borrowed? That should have been the question. And I see the Minister of Health traversing the nation, improving healthcare delivery system. And that should be the question we should ask them. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, they're doing a lot. Like I said, 2.5 years is too short a time for.
So you can't rate them now. You can't give them a rating right now.
No.
So we should come back in 2027.
You should.
To give them a proper rating.
Yes, you should.
Your Excellency, you're being diplomatic. Yes, you are.
No. That's the way to go.
You're being very diplomatic.
That's the way to go. Don't forget the fact that the government of the day, it did not take over on a clean slate. They inherited problems too.
Your Excellency, this is the words that several administration uses. Oh, I inherited this, I inherited that.
Well, you must inherit one form of problem or the other in government. Government is dynamic. There is no way government will be static. So there isn't a situation where one government will come and then they will hand over a clean slate to the incoming government that we have taken care of all the problems. Now you can take over and go on. It can't happen. It's not human. All right?
Okay. As we get set to wrap up, Your Excellency, I just have one final question for you, which will be, if you have the opportunity to get back on that seat, I mean, as the governor of Bauchi State, what would you do differently?
You see, being out of government has taught me a lot of lessons. Let's say it has enabled me to see the good, the bad, and even the ugly in the behavior of people. All right? A lot of the people that one thought were with him and doing all the right things, revelations now are that a lot of them are not doing that. So even in terms of choice of humans to work with, I am better educated now. And then the problems of the state may, in a lot of respects, be different from the problems of the state in 2015. And they will call for different solutions. So definitely there's no way if, and that is a big if, I go back in government that I will do all the things I did in 2015 to 2019.
So are you saying you don't have plans of going back, Your Excellency?
I said if, it's a big if.
Tell us, indulge
What
us.
I do is, for matters like these, I leave them in the hands of the Almighty.
Your Excellency,
Is the one who
2027 is
chooses.
it's just by the corner.
Is the one who chooses.
Just give us a sneak into it.
That's it. That's what I said.
So we should keep it on if.
If.
And hope that you share the full details.
Oh, yes. When the time comes.
Okay. Rapid TV will be waiting. And of course, we'll be the first to break it.
No problem.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency,
All right.
for joining us to have this conversation. Mohammed Abdullahi Abubakar, SAN. It has been such an interesting time. Thank you for answering our questions. We do hope that when the good news is to pop up, we'll be there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.